Origins will be great, particularly for fans who are not intimately familiar with every nook and cranny of the Halo universe, because quite tidily, it sums up the history of all time. So if you have to start somewhere with looking at the Halo story or getting involved with all the anime episodes, Origins will put all of that together and it'll give you a little bit of a twist at the end that'll make the rest of the story even more interesting.
We've told the entire Halo story from the firing of the Halo rings, and even a little bit before, all the way up to the events at the end of Halo 3, in a very piecemeal fashion up until now. And so this was a great opportunity to put the entire mythos together in one stream. And I think that the imagery and the visual style that 4C has chosen for this piece is so crisp and sharp and clear that it brings a clarity to a story that's actually very difficult to understand for newcomers. And I think that Studio 4C's effort in this regard is going to be a tremendous help in bringing people into the Halo universe and enabling them to understand it.
Halo universe is such a sprawling, wonderful, huge world that, it's got a lot of history behind it, and it covers the time span of thousands of years. So we thought it'd be important to really kind of present that, to set the stage for people who are coming into this universe for the first time, and also really refresh it and provide a visual storytelling of the history that even the fans know about. And it was actually Herculean challenge for that matter, because just the amount of information that had to go within the 30 minutes time frame was just unfathomable in the beginning. And I really couldn't think of any other studio who could take this challenge on other than Studio 4C.
When I first heard about this project, I was literally floored by the sheer scope and size of the Halo universe. And I realized that a story like Origins is not something that can be taken lightly. To take on the challenge of this epic storytelling, I needed a director who would love the Halo universe and be passionate enough to explore and express even the smallest details. Futamura was the perfect person for this. He had previously worked on telling the history of the Matrix universe in Animatrix, so he came with experience as well as an established ability to tell a story like Origins.
I think the big challenge for 4C with the Origins episode is that there's so many different cultures and civilizations and eras covered in the piece. I mean, it goes everywhere from 100,000 years ago through ancient Greek, ancient Egyptian, 20th century human, and then, 500-600 years of human culture after the moon landing. That it was just a huge visual challenge. And they managed to put it together in a beautifully intricate style that all maps together wonderfully and ends up feeling like this thing that's greater than the sum of its parts, and we're very, very pleased with it.
The Origins episodes cover the stories that were not even told in the Halo games, as well as the events in the game's canon. In the games, the AI character Cortana was not only the companion for Master Chief's adventure, but she alone was a character who was able to glimpse Forerunner history. She also has an extensive insight into human history, so naturally the storyteller of the Origins is Cortana. Her point of view and memory are what drive the narration and story.
Both the director Futamura and Studio 4C have done a wonderful job doing a similar type of historical digest anime called Second Renaissance for the Animatrix, which explored the lore of the Matrix franchise. But this time, actually, the Origins itself, however, was actually bigger challenge. The span of time was just so big, and the perspective of the story changes throughout. So even knowing that Studio 4C could pull this off, going into it, we really wasn't sure how it was going to turn out at the end of the day. But the attention to detail and the kind of the artistry that both director Futamura and Studio 4C brought to this episode has really just been wonderful.
To be honest, I didn't have grand ambitions approaching this project. What was in my mind the most was whether or not I'd be able to satisfy the creators and fans of Halo. The universe is so vast, and there was just so much research, so many visual and text materials that I had to digest. I guess I was driven by this fear of whether I could do justice to this material and meet everyone's expectations.
I was really impressed by the way the studios really immersed themselves in Halo lore. And I had one meeting at one of the studios on my visit to Tokyo. where I absolutely got grilled for 2 hours on what is the history of this picture, what are the history of these Guardians, where have they appeared before, what can they do, what is this location, what is its history, what took place here, what could we do here, all of these things, and the amount of thinking they were obviously doing about staying true to the Halo story, but at the same time taking those pictures and those pieces of information and weaving them into their own new parts of the Halo universe. It was a lot of fun to watch. I was very impressed by how important the Halo universe was to them, and looking at the episodes, they all feel like Halo. And that we were able to do that with a group of people spread all over the world is pretty awesome.
I think the barometer of success for Origins depends on whether the episodes will be perceived as a part of the Halo universe. If the audience can simply enjoy and learn about the story of Halo without noticing the existence of directors like me, then I have succeeded. Rather than having audiences think about my stylistic or storytelling influence on Halo, I would like it if they think, Origins is good because it was really the story of Halo. I guess that's sort of like the character Master Chief. Each player can assume and own Chief's identity because his face is not shown. So I think it would be best if the episode is not judged by a distinct style or mark of a creator. The episode just needs to be Halo, which I hope will help the audience connect to the story emotionally.